shower, it looks like the sun is shining now. So if we get out of here, we won't get rained on, which is a good thing, since we all got rained on all of last week, right? As you may be able to guess by that last rain comment, I'm a Floridian. These gentlemen here flew in from far, far away. I drove up from far, far away in Orlando. So I've got the greatest job in the whole wide world because I get to travel around and talk to groups of small business owners and also people that work for nonprofits and talk to them about how they can use email marketing and social media marketing to help their organizations grow. I'm actually going to be back up in Jacksonville in a couple of weeks, the first week of June, doing a much longer version of this presentation with the Small Business Development Center. So if you have any interest in getting a little bit of a deeper dive into that, I would love to see you at one of those events. My speaking schedule is always on my calendar. It's constantcontact.com/Central Florida. Yes, I know Jacksonville is not technically in Central Florida. Let's just not go there, okay? That's the way that my website is labeled. Facebook. Who likes to use Facebook for business? Okay, who uses it for personal? Okay, great. I love to connect with people on Facebook. My Facebook professional page is Pamela Starr Professional. So for those of you that have your smartphones out, if you want to visit me on my Facebook page, I actually have some information for all of my Facebook likes, which is about building relationships with your business customers. Who here is brave enough to use Twitter? A couple of people. You're going to find here, you're like, yeah, I like Twitter. I was actually tweeting away. I know that you probably were looking at me going, what the heck is that woman doing? She's sitting there checking her email. No, I was tweeting about some of the events that were going on here today. So this is a good way to get in touch with me. If you want to learn more about Constant Contact, talk to your representatives that are here today because from the newspaper, and they'll be delighted to tell you more about how you can get started with Constant Contact. But let's talk a little bit about the concept of email marketing. I'm going to guess that everybody here knows how to send an email. That would be correct? Okay, that's kind of a no-brainer. But when it comes to email as a marketing tool, it's a little bit different strategy from just sending you one-to-one email or your one to like 5 people email. Email marketing as a strategy is a marketing tool, just like any other marketing tool that you may be using to grow your organization. But email marketing has got some special attributes to it. It's important to be sure that when you're creating your email marketing campaign, that you do know what your goals are for any particular email marketing message that you may be creating. And these are some great goals for email marketing. Email marketing is great for staying connected with people. Anytime you go to some type of event, whether it's a professional event like today's event, or maybe it's sometimes you meet some people in your personal life, and you start talking to them about your business, because that's just kind of what people do. Oftentimes they may say something wonderful to you like, oh, here's my business card, call me tomorrow because I'd like to learn more about your organization. Has anybody ever had that conversation with somebody? It feels good, doesn't it? We like that conversation. And then hopefully you're doing a good job following up with people. But sometimes, despite our best efforts to follow up with somebody over the phone, sometimes between voicemail and schedules and all that stuff, we don't connect with them quite as promptly as we want to. Sometimes then, because of the course of time, we don't kind of ever connect with them. And then we've lost that opportunity to do business with somebody who at some point was interested in us. And that's where email marketing is really, really helpful. Because with that person's permission, you can add them to your ongoing email marketing campaign. So that way, over the course of time, you will stay connected with that person. And even if you do have the opportunity to have a conversation with somebody, they may not necessarily be ready to do business with you today. They may not be ready to do business with you next week. But potentially, 8 months down the road, their next door neighbor may need your service. So if you continue to stay connected with them through email marketing, when they're having that conversation with their next door neighbor, and your email shows up in their inbox that afternoon, you've got a great opportunity to get a referral from them. Now, email marketing is also really good at helping you inform people about all the different ways that you can help them and help the people that they know. You know, people are kind of funny. Even the people that know you really, really well, your current customers, your past customers, sometimes even people in your personal life, they tend to always kind of pigeonhole us into the one thing that they know that we can do for them. And they tend to kind of gloss over or forget or not think about all the 50 other ways that you can also help them. And email marketing is really great to educate people, and you can inform them about all the different services and all the different products that you have to offer. It would be virtually impossible to pick up the phone and call every single one of your contacts every month, say, this month I want to talk to you about this particular product. And go through the whole process all over again, and next month say, now I want to talk to you about this other particular product. But with email marketing, over the course of time, you can inform everybody about all the ways that you can help them, which is a really, really great resource for you. And then the third thing that email marketing is really great at is helping you grow your business by targeting different groups of people to sell them different products and services. And that's what all the big guys do. When Walmart wants to sell big screen TV, they create messages that appeal to big screen TV buyers, which are typically men. And they position those messages places where men like to hang out on TV, which is typically NASCAR, ESPN, Golf Network, NFL. And they use messages designed to sell a particular type of product, big screen TVs, to a particular group of people, typically men, and they use messages that appeal to them. Now, the good news is, I'm going to guess, other than my friends over here, probably nobody in the room has a marketing budget the size of Walmart's. Would that be accurate? I'm going to guess, and you guys are always laughing, that I've never had somebody say, yes, I do. Google probably does. But for the most part, nobody has a marketing budget the size of Walmart's, at least the people who buy these. The good news is, no matter how big or how small your organization is, by using email marketing effectively, you can absolutely target different groups of people to sell them different types of products based on the different interests that they have shared with you. And as we go on a little bit later on this afternoon, I'm going to tell you how you can easily identify who is interested in what types of products, so that way you can target them a little bit more specifically. Now let's talk about new customers. Who likes new customers? That's it? The rest of you don't like new customers? Well, I'm just going to talk to the couple of people here who claim to like new customers. Because the good thing about new customers is they add life to our business. They bring us new income. The bad thing about new customers, sometimes it's really hard to find them, isn't it? Is it easy to get new customers? We wish it was easy to get new customers, but sometimes it's not. And these are some of the reasons why. On average, it can take up to 7 marketing touches to occur before a new customer knows you, likes you, and trusts you enough to want to do business with you. Now, those marketing touches should be from a variety of different sources. Now, obviously, I work for an email marketing company, and I spend a lot of time talking about social media as well. But I would never stand up in front of a group of people and tell you that email marketing or social media marketing is the only thing you should be doing to market your business, because that's not the case. Depending on your type of business that you're in, you may need to use that cool technology called a telephone and actually call people and have a real-life conversation with them. You may need to put a billboard up on I-95. You may need to do snail mail. Everybody's always talking about how bad snail mail is. There are certainly situations where it's a great marketing tool for different types of businesses. But for you, no matter what type of business you have, if you add email marketing into your overall marketing campaign, you're going to find that it's faster, easier, and less expensive for those 7 marketing touches to happen in order for your prospects to know you, like you, and trust you enough to want to do business with you. Now, we like new customers. We also like repeat customers. And a lot of times when I talk to people about creating a marketing campaign to market to their current and their past customers, a lot of times people kind of push back on me on that. And they say, Pamela, I don't need to market to my current customers. These are people I see all the time. Real estate, perfect example. Once you're working with somebody, you're like joined at the hip with that customer. You spend all your time with them. They're calling you at all times of the night. That they're glued to you. And that's a great example because it's a very dramatic example. The problem for people in the real estate industry is 2 years after a closing, 80% of your customers will have forgotten your name unless you have been doing marketing to continue to keep in touch with them. Now, that's an extreme example for one particular industry, real estate, but for the most part, for everybody else here in the room, I'm going to guess that today's what, May 7th, 2013? If you think about what were you doing on May 7th, 2012, you probably could not think about what business were you doing business with. If you were the customer of somebody on May 7th, 2012, what business was that? Chances are you probably can't remember. And chances are your customers probably can't remember doing business with you a year ago, unless you've been marketing to them. And so if your customers can't remember you, if you can't remember them, you're out of luck because you're not going to be able to get the repeat business and you're not going to be able to get new referrals. So it's really critical to be sure that you do have a marketing campaign in place to continue that communication with your current and your past customers. Now that communication may be different from the communication that you use to connect with your prospects. And that's kind of part of where the target marketing comes into play. The good news about email marketing is it doesn't cost you any more money to have 2 different messages to appeal to 2 different groups of people in order to sell them 2 different types of products or services. Now let's talk about email. I know that there's a viewpoint out there that email's done, it's dead, it's passé. Nobody uses email because everybody's all in love with social media. And do you know what? Social media is amazing. It's a great way to get to know the friends of the people who you already know. But email marketing is one of the strongest ways to communicate with people. It's one of the strongest ways to actually get action from people. And it's one of the easiest ways to measure the results of that action. Now, a question for you. Who has checked their email since you walked into the room? Who's checked your email since I started talking? It's okay, because you know what, if you were talking, I'd check my email too. But you know what? People are addicted to email. Thanks to our smartphones, heaven forbid, you're not, heaven forbid somebody sent me an email in the last 22 minutes and I did not check it. We are completely addicted to our smartphones. And email is also incredibly valuable because your email will live in that person's inbox until they make some type of action. That action may be to delete it, but even if they delete it, that split second, they see your name. Now, we all love social media, and I'm a huge social media person as well. The challenge with social media is this little thing called social media atrophy, which means that your Twitter post, your Facebook post, all of your social media posts, they actually kind of have a pretty short shelf life. So if you post something on Facebook at 8 o'clock in the morning, but the people who you're trying to connect with aren't checking Facebook maybe until lunchtime. Maybe they're doing something between 8 and lunch, like maybe working. Chances are they may not see your Facebook post if Facebook chooses to show it to them at all. So the thing about email is your email is always going to live in their inbox until they're ready to take some type of action on it. Ideally, open it. Better than opening it, you want them to read it as well. Now let's talk a little bit about this. I get a lot of questions about spam. And I'm not going to go into the huge legal definition of what spam is because it's actually pretty broad. The thing to keep in mind is that spam, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder. We really don't care what federal anti-spam laws are. Now I'm saying we, as in we when we're individuals checking our emails. What we do care about is if we get an email from somebody we don't know, or we do know them and we don't like them, or we don't understand how did they get our email address, or we know exactly how they got our email address and we're frustrated with that because we know that they like looked in an online directory or something like that. In our minds, that email is spam, even if it could have been collectively hidden. And so that's one of the things that you do want to be really careful about if you're doing an email marketing campaign, is you don't want to be sending people unwanted email because that's when people will consider you as having spam phone. So if email marketing is not spam, what the heck is it? And this is how we like to define it, is sending professional communication to an interested audience and sending them information that they actually find valuable. So that's kind of a nice kind of framework to keep in mind when it comes to deciding what email marketing is. Now, oftentimes when people start using email marketing, they'll go into their one-to-one email service, Gmail or whatever it is, and they'll send off an email because we know how to send an email to one person. We know we can send the same email to 5 people. So if you can send it to 5 people, why don't you just send the same email to 500 people, right? Well, you probably don't want to do that because your internet service provider, if they realize that you're sending basically what we consider to be bulk email, the exact same email to a large group of people, 2 things are going to happen. One thing is they're not going to allow you to send that many identical emails out to a big list of people. The second thing that's going to happen is once their spam filters catch this, they're going to say, hey, wait a minute, this person is sending an identical email to 500 people. They're probably sending out spam. And the internet service providers don't like it when their customers send out spam. So there's a great opportunity that you'll be shut down by your internet service provider. That's happened to many people who I've met. And once their internet service provider shuts them down, you can't send out any more emails until you get that rectified, which can take anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks. So you want to be sure that you don't do that. A better option for you is to use an email marketing service. Constant Contact is the nation's largest email marketing service. There are other good reputable email marketing services out there as well. But if you use an email marketing service, you have a lot of advantages over just using your regular one-to-one email for email marketing communication. One of the advantages is it's very easy, as I mentioned, to target 2 different groups of people, or 12 different groups of people, or 16 different groups of people with different messages that you might want to send to them. Another good advantage of it is it looks a heck of a lot better. If you get a marketing message that looks just like this, it's just straight text email, unfortunately, even if it's a really good marketing message, when we get messages like that, we tend to put it in the same mental category as those messages that we get from the banker that's in some foreign country who's got that dead client who's our long-lost relative. And this could be a really good, true, honest, genuine, good marketing message that may appeal to us, but we put it in that same mental category. And so you want to be sure that your business isn't perceived in the same mental category as that banker out there in that foreign country. So you want to be sure that you don't have that. A better option is to create an email marketing message that looks like this. And these two emails actually have pretty much the same content. So which organization would you rather participate in? One who looks like they're kind of haphazard, who knows what they're really up to, they can't possibly be that professional, or one that looks really, really good like this. My hunch is that for you all, for your business, you want to be sure your customers feel that you're very, very professional. And using an email marketing service is a great way to make that happen. Now, the first thing to keep in mind when it comes to building an email marketing campaign is, of course, you need to have a good quality email list. People often ask me, what's the best way to add emails to my email list? The best way that we recommend is you want to collect email addresses wherever it is that you connect with people. When you connect with people at a business event, such as today, or when people call your business, you absolutely can ask for their email address. Now, there's a good way, and there's a not so good way to ask people for their email address. The not so good way is, hey, can I have your email address because I want to send you my email newsletter? Trust me, the last thing anybody wants is another stinking email newsletter. The last thing, I work for an email marketing company, I do not want another stinking email newsletter. What people do want is valuable information. So if you're having a conversation with somebody and they express some interest in your business, you can say, oh, by the way, every month I send out a special report that talks about real estate prices in Jacksonville. Would you like to get that information? People really like to receive that because it helps them decide when they're ready to buy or sell a home. If you're offering people information, they're going to be much more likely to want to give you their email address. Other places where you can collect email addresses is obviously if you have a place of business where people come in, you can have a guest book. Be sure you train whoever is that person that greets people walking in the door to direct those people to the guest book. Otherwise, it's just going to lay on a counter and collect dust. You can also use online technology tools to collect email addresses. If you're using an email marketing service, you can typically include a link in your one-to-one signature. And when people click on that link, they have the opportunity to give you their email address, and then it will automatically go into your email marketing service account, which is great. They're doing the typing, you don't have to. Another great way is you do want to be sure that you have a sign-up box on your websites. There are many websites out there that have contact us forms, which are great. Oftentimes, though, those contact us forms, when somebody fills that out, you get an email, so-and-so filled out this contact us form, and then you need to take action on it. A different opportunity to think about is you can actually tie your email marketing service accounts to your website. So that way, anytime somebody clicks on that little box and types in their email address, their email information automatically gets populated into your email marketing service accounts. So that way, then you don't have to do any of the typing. And they're just automatically going to be getting your regularly scheduled emails. You can also use social media to collect people's email addresses. People sometimes say to me, but well, which one should I be doing, social media or should I be doing email marketing? And I'm saying, do them both, because they work really, really well together. Now, when somebody uses some type of technology to give you their email address, you want to acknowledge their existence. If somebody's up at 2 o'clock in the morning typing in your services, Jacksonville, Florida, and they sign up for your email list, it's really sweet if you email them back and say thank you for that. Now, if you use an email marketing service, well, you're smiling in the back of the room. You're like, I'm not sending people emails at 2 o'clock in the morning. You don't have to. If you use an email marketing service, you can program into your account what's referred to as a welcome email. You program that in once, and then every time somebody signs themselves up for your email list, they automatically get bounced back this welcome email. You don't even have to touch it, which is really nice because you're acknowledging people's existence. You can actually use this email marketing, this welcome email, to have more of a marketing focus. That welcome email can be as general as, thanks for participating, we're glad that you're interested in our business. Or you can be a lot more sophisticated and you can embed links to secrets, places on your website where they can have exclusive content, you can offer a coupon in it. There's lots of really great tools that you can do with your welcome email to make it a very, very effective marketing tool for your organization. Another good thing that you may want to think about is using a permission reminder on your emails. Sometimes people ask me, well, how do I know who is it okay to add to my email marketing list? The general rule of thumb is that if you've had some type of contractual relationship with somebody within the last 12 months, you can automatically add them to your email marketing list without asking for their permission. And that means if somebody called you and they asked for a proposal, or if they engaged with your business in some shape or fashion, you should feel confident that you can go ahead and automatically add them to your email marketing list. However, just because somebody engaged in some type of business transaction with you 11 months ago, if they haven't heard from you 11 months, then all of a sudden they're getting email marketing messages from you, they may have forgotten about you. Or they may say, hey, this person's ignored me for almost a year, and now they want my business. So you want to be sure that you give them the opportunity to unsubscribe from your email list if they want to. And that's good practice is to include what's called a permission reminder. The permission reminder is a little blurb of text that shows up at the very top of your email that says, thank you for being, part of Pamela's Pet Shop's VIP Club. You're receiving this email communication because you're one of our loyal customers. You may unsubscribe if you no longer wish to receive our communication. And sometimes people will say to me, well, why the heck would I want to give people the opportunity to unsubscribe from my email? Well, first of all, that is one critical component of the federal anti-spam laws, is you do need to be sure that people have an easy way to unsubscribe from your email. With Constant Contact and with most of the good, reputable email marketing services, there will always be an unsubscribe link on your emails. Typically, though, it's at the very bottom of your email. It's a good idea to have this unsubscribe link also on the top of your email on occasion, because if people are just scanning your email, if they're not interested in it, they're not going to read your entire email. And you'd rather have them unsubscribe from your email list than mark you as a spammer. Oftentimes when people are going onto their email systems, for those of you that use Outlook, you don't see this, but if you're logging onto Gmail to check your mail, for example, there's that handy dandy little spam button at the very top of the screen. So you'd rather have somebody unsubscribe from your email list than mark you as a spammer. Unsubscribe means thanks, but no thanks, not interested in this information. Spam means, hey, I think you just violated federal law and I'm really, really angry about it. So you want to discourage people from marking you as a spammer. And if somebody's truly not interested in your marketing communication, go ahead and let them unsubscribe from your list. The bottom line is you want to be sure that you're communicating with people who are actually interested in what it is you have to say. So let's talk about what the heck is it that you have to say. This is a big question I get asked a lot. There are different formats of emails that you may want to send out. Most people are familiar with the idea of sending out like a regularly scheduled newsletter. Typically they'll go out once a month, sometimes once a quarter, sometimes once a week. The general rule of thumb is the more frequently you communicate with people, the shorter your email should be. As you heard just a couple of minutes ago, people do not like to read. They really don't like to read long, rambling emails. So keep your emails short and keep them to the point. Part of kind of figuring out what to say on your email, don't freak out. It's not that hard. The things that people like to read on your emails are lists and bullets. Numbered lists and bullet lists. 7 ways to X, Y, and Z. People love to read stuff like that. How-tos. People love to read stuff like that too. The good news is it's easy for you to write. I'm going to guess that you can probably think of 3 ways to X, Y, and Z that relates to your business. If you can't think of any 3 ways, come see me after the presentation and I will promise you, I will tell you 3 ways that your business can help somebody. Look for other places for inspiration. Look and see what are other people writing about. Chances are they're writing long, rambling essays. The good news is you don't have to write a long, rambling essay. You can take kind of a couple of nuggets of what they're saying and repackage that information to 3 points and you're good. Don't steal their content, that's plagiarism, but use it for inspiration. It'll be really easy for you. Now you may have seen emails where there'll be a little bit of information and then there'll be a link that says click here to read more. That's a really good strategy for a couple of different reasons. Reason number 1 is it makes your email look nice and clean and it avoids you having to have those long, rambling, wordy emails. But reason number 2 is because every time somebody clicks on one of the links in your email, as long as you're using an email marketing service, you will know. So we're going to go back to the real estate example. You guys are lucky because we're using all of our examples on you guys. Let's say you've got 3 properties that you want to promote. Property number 1 is really, really expensive. Property number 2 is mid-level, family home in a nice neighborhood. Property number 3 is entry-level or fixer-upper. Have a link for each individual property. Here's the expensive property, click here to read more. Mid-level, click here to read more. Entry-level, click here to read more. Now, after you send out your emails, if you're using the email marketing service, you you will get access to reports, and you will know every single person who clicks on each one of those links. So you will know every single person who clicked on super expensive property. Then what you can do is you can make those people into their own special email list and target them with more information about more super expensive properties. The people who clicked on the link for entry-level fixer-upper, you can make them their own special list and target them with more information about entry-level properties. Because the people who want the super fixer-uppers may not be interested in getting information about the super expensive homes. This way you can really target your list and only send people information that you know that they're actually going to be interested in. And do you know what, folks? This is the exact same type of technology that Amazon uses. When you go onto Amazon.com and you look at a book, you don't even have to buy it. You're nodding, you know what I'm talking about here. You don't even have to buy it, but next time you go onto Amazon.com, they present you with a whole other selection of buying opportunities based on your past behavior. It's the exact same type of technology, only you don't need to have a technology budget the size of Amazon to accomplish something like this for email marketing. Now, let's talk about when to send your emails. That's a big question that people ask me quite a bit. You know, Daniel shared with us some really interesting information about the times of day where people are using different types of devices to be online. I'm going to kind of interpret that information to say that would be the same times of days that people use different types of devices to check their emails. For the most part, if you're doing business-to-business communication, you probably want to send your emails out during the business day. Yes, we check our work email all the time on and on weekends. Yes, we check our personal email all day long at work. But you want to have your email delivered to people at the time where they feel it's appropriate for them to take action on it. If you're talking about weekend family fun, you probably want your emails to go out in the evenings or on the weekends. If you're talking about business-to-business computer sales, you probably want those emails to go out during the business day when people are ready to take action on that. The good thing about using the email marketing service is we will show you. When you send out your email at, say, 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning, X% of people actually opened your email. So what you can do is you can tweak it very, very rapidly. So that way the next email that you send out, you can test it sending out on a different day, a different time, to find out if more people open your email. So it's really good information that you have to make good marketing decisions. The next key here is getting your emails read. It's great to write them, but you know what? It's even better if people actually read them, isn't it? There's a couple of things to keep in mind when it comes to getting your email opened. The very first thing people look at when they open your email is who is it from. Now, I know that's kind of a no-brainer because obviously we don't like to open emails from people who we don't know who they are. But just kind of keep in mind, how does your audience know your organization? Do they know you as a person, or do they know you as a business? And be sure that you're using the right from name when you're sending out email communication. The next thing that you want to keep in mind is what is the subject line. People don't open emails that have boring subject line. The default email for constant contact is something like news from your business name. Sorry, I hate to break it to you, but I'm completely uninterested in news from your business. That's about as boring as it can possibly get. But if your subject line is 10 ways to save money this week, that's something that I'm going to open right now. Now, you don't want to be spamming your subject line, but be sure that your subject line is something that's going to pique people's curiosity. Newspapers are fabulous about that with their article headlines. So, look and see what they're writing about in physical paper, look and see what the headlines are online. Those give you great things for inspiration. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about how you can use Constant Contact as a tool to incorporate into your business platform, you can send an email to wecanhelp@jacksonville.com, or you can talk to the people here at the Times Union, and they can give you a little bit more information about that as well. Again, finally, this is my contact information. I'd love to connect with you all on Facebook or on Twitter. Hopefully, I'll have the opportunity to see you at another longer event that we do at some point up here in Jacksonville. Thank you.
You don't get away from this, right?
Don't get away. Let me go there.
We have time for just a couple questions.
I do,
You
yeah.
should be a gentleman and stand until she says, right? My mother is
Oh.
proud of me right now.
She would be proud of you.
So, Pam, I think most business owners understand that email is still an effective form of communication to existing customers. But I've read that the open rates have been on a steady decline for years. So would you like to address that?
Yeah, and I kind of touched on this just a little bit just a couple of minutes ago. People are just inundated with emails, and people have gotten to be very sophisticated about email marketing. And so we know that when we get the email that's the news from, the April newsletter, monthly updates. We know that that's going to be nothing but information about some other business. It's not going to be related to us. So one of the things that you want to be sure of when it comes to your email, if you truly want people to open it, be sure that you're providing them information that's valuable to them. The subject line needs to be something that's going to pique their curiosity and is going to make them want to actually open it. And then you need to be sure that you are also delivering on content. You don't want it to be just sales content every single email that you send out, buy me stuff. You want to be sure that you're offering people information that they can read, whether or not they're ready to buy something from you today.
Very good. I believe I heard you say that it's 6 to 7 times more expensive to gain a customer than to retain a customer. That's a pretty compelling reason to keep your local customers close. But what about businesses where the return frequency of a customer is a year or more?
Right, and that kind of gets back to what I was talking about, keeping in touch with your past customers. Sometimes you want to get repeat business. Sometimes the whole strategy of keeping in touch with your past customers is simply to get the referrals.
Right.
If you're a pool contractor, I'm going to guess you're not going to get a ton of repeat business. But if you are a pool contractor, you're probably going to get a ton of referrals as long as you're continuing to keep in touch with people. Now, an example like that, though, the communication that you send to your past customers is going to be very different from the communication that you would send to a prospect. The prospect would be, hey, we've got these great new pools. This is how easy it is to have a pool built. This is how long it takes for a pool to be built. For your past customers, the message needs to be something along the lines of, hey, now that you have a pool, this is how you can have outdoor entertaining. This is how you can have weekend family fun. This is how you can enjoy your summer vacation at home rather than going to Tahiti or something like that. So you just need to be sure that you're targeting those people with messages that are geared to, one, get the referrals, then also interest them enough so that way they don't eventually unsubscribe from your newsletter.
So being organized and having a strategy is key.
You absolutely have to have a strategy.
So this is a good question. Field, it says, do organizations really get fined for spam?
The question, do organizations really get fined for spam? I personally have never heard of an organization that has been fined for spam.
But you're not an attorney.
But I'm not an attorney, and I don't play one on TV, so I'm not giving you legal advice. Typically, the people that I hear about that get nailed for being spam, typically they're big global organizations. Frequently they're offshore. So federal laws, and offshore sometimes don't always mix. So I would be less concerned with worrying about being fined for spam, and I'd be more concerned with worrying about what type of reputation and what type of message are you sending to people. Because if you're getting enough spam reports to be worried about it, that means that one, either you're sending emails to people who are not interested in getting your email communication, or two, you're just sending people information that's not relevant to them. So if you find that you're starting to get spam reports, and your email marketing service will tell you how many spam reports you are getting. If you find that you're getting a lot of spam reports, I would say that you want to kind of stop and rethink and say, okay, am I really doing good quality email marketing, or am I just trying to be sending out nothing but junk that people are completely uninterested in? You're not doing yourself a service that way.
Understand. From your presentation, I gather that conducting a successful email initiative could require a good deal of work with content production, design, strategy, etc. Is there something a business owner can really do well by themselves?
Yeah, most Constant Contact customers, they create their own emails. Constant Contact is template driven, so you don't need to know HTML, you don't need to be a graphic designer, you don't even really need to be that artistic. So you don't really need to worry about the design. You can make them as customized as you want to. So if you do know HTML, great, go at it, no problem working with us. But you don't have to spend a lot of time on the design. When it comes to the contents, you want your content to be super short, because people aren't going to want to read long rambling emails. So don't get too hung up on that. A lot of times I talk to people and they tell me, well, I've had my Constant Contact account for a couple of months now, and I haven't done my first email yet because. Right. And the good thing is, it's not brain surgery. So, do your first email, get it out there, see what type of results you have. You want to do a good job, but you don't want to overanalyze it, because oftentimes doing a 80% good job is better than doing no job at all.
That's the last question from the preliminary side. We have time for maybe one or two from the attendees. Anyone have a question? Yes, ma'am.
You made a good point. Lead nurturing is now a huge part of marketing, and how do you transfer oversimplifying a big issue in marketing but how do you, is there a way within an email marketing system to transfer someone from a current to a past customer? For example, I work with a real estate developer, and so somebody spends $500,000 on a home, I'm not gonna try to keep selling them on a home if they
Right.
bought it. I want them to now be, to get our referral-based emails.
Right.
So is there a way within email marketing systems, unless you go to something like HubSpot or something along those lines, that will automatically transfer so the messaging can be different to them than it is to a future customer?
It depends on how you build your list. What you're basically referring to is transferring people from one list to another list.
Which is very doable.
Right, which is very doable. The easiest way to do it automatically would be if you have, say, often some businesses, and your business may be a little bit different just because of the nature of it, but some businesses have their customer data like in an accounting system or something like that. And a lot of times I'll talk to people who, at the beginning of every month, when they're getting ready to do their monthly email, they will transfer over all of their current customer base from, say, QuickBooks into their email marketing service. So that way they know that they always have a fresh list of customers in that particular customer list. Other things that you can do is sometimes you may be able to have general emails that can go out to your entire customer list or your entire mailing list. But you do, like you said, you do want to be sure that if you have a big ticket customer, like it sounds like in your industry you probably do have big ticket customers. It may be as easy as just in your closing out when you're completing a project with somebody, the last check off in your list of things to do is be sure that they're off the prospect list and onto the customer list. So there's a variety of different ways that you can work on it.
We have time for one more question. Anyone for constant contact? Yes, ma'am.
Are you on LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn. I prefer to connect with people on Facebook or Twitter. Different people have different perspectives on how they use different types of social media tools. I like to use LinkedIn for people that I've had business relationships with in the past. The threshold that I use is if somebody was to call me and say, hey, what can you tell me about Tony? I see that you're connected with him on LinkedIn. I like to have something to be able to tell them about that particular person.
Okay.
So, but different people I know lots of people who use LinkedIn more as a prospecting tool, and they like to be very open with the way that they connect with people on LinkedIn as well.
Thank you so much for this
Thank you.
overview, and I appreciate it.